the Senior Architect of Oracle Asia R&D Center in Singapore, will take you all through a journey of how Oracle uses DevOps practices and CI/CD for product development. The stage is over to you.
Hope you guys can hear me. So basically I'm from Oracle, but basically what I really want to do today is to kind of share with you guys how from a Oracle R&D center perspective, how we kind of started on our DevOps journey, how we kind of try to motivate our engineers to kind of get there, right? Some of the concepts are really very, textbook, and those are the kind of driving forces that from R&D or from a organization change perspective that are actually quite important to us. So today my presentation covers probably about 60-70% which kind of drives in concepts that from a developer, even from an architect, which I'm trying to, one of my jobs is to drive this change in the organization. What is these concepts, right? Of course, at the end, I do touch a bit on the CI/CD process, a bit on standardization and automation as well. So do bear with me, try not to get too bored. I'm not really a very good speaker because I'm really, an engineer more than a presenter. Okay, so let me start off. My name is Darrel. I come from Singapore. I'm one of the technical leads in the Oracle Asia R&D Center. So Oracle itself is a vast organization. We have what, 50-60,000 people just doing development work, right? And my team, which is R&D, probably about 300-400 people. We're just one small little outfit there. You find that in organizations like Oracle, we do have a lot of challenges towards organization change. And basically, my presentation kind of talks about, at least from R&D perspective, how we're getting there, or how we're moving on with the journey. So, we kind of started on our journey close to about a year and a half ago. So, we're still at a very, very early stage, but there were really a lot of hurdles that we wanted to overcome, and I think that it would have been useful to share with you guys. Okay, sorry about this. This is the standard disclaimer slide. Oracle slides all need to have this. Basically, what it just says that whatever I'm talking about is non-legally contract binding. It's really for your information. You can't use it for, any business purposes. Okay, so let's start with this, right? So like I said, I'm from Oracle Asia R&D. So we started this whole DevOps movement about a year and a half ago. At that time, like any other organization, we have our own fair share of hiccups. Development was tough, doing deliveries was tough. But of course, okay, sorry. So we are at, before this whole thing started about 2 years ago, we were still running on agile practices. Although, things could be better. Agile has its own share of drawbacks, certain things that it doesn't do very well. And it got to the point which, it wasn't really that as effective as before. We kind of hit like a maximum optimization. So, our SVP kind of decided, okay guys, we need to go further, right? That's where the whole DevOps story kind of picked up, at least for us. So outside, you can see companies like Google, Amazon, they're already on it, Facebook. And, Oracle, being a market leader or company, we decided that this is where, at least from R&D center, this is where we need to be. Right? So we have to change. And driving change within an organization is what keeps your business going. So the problem was, DevOps is a very vague term. Everybody says, okay, let's do DevOps. But what does DevOps really mean to everybody, to the guys on the street, right? So I've worked with engineers before. I've worked with salespeople, and everybody has different things. Because when we actually start talking about DevOps,
People do a lot of reading on the internet, on Google. They pick a lot of buzzwords, right? So buzzwords kind of help influence our guys. It's fine, I can go on without the slides for now. Don't worry about it. Okay, so these buzzwords kind of help influence many people's thinking, and without a proper direction, people tend to go the wrong way. So I've spoken with some engineers which they say, okay, I'm doing DevOps, right? So we kind of go to that point which is like, show me what you've got, right? Or what aspect of DevOps are you doing? Oh yeah, you know, my backend's running infrastructure as code. Everything is codified. I'm DevOps. Or you know, we have people who say that, yeah, you know, my dev and ops kind of gel together. They work well together. Okay. So you know, these are some of the common buzzwords that we usually tend to pick up, especially when you're getting literature from the internet, right? While these things do not necessarily mean DevOps, but they do represent certain concepts or certain implementations of certain aspects of DevOps. But from an organization point of view, when we drive it, this is not quite where we want to get to. So, what does DevOps mean to us, at least from R&D Center, right? Okay,
so DevOps is not purely and solely technology, right? But it really is a different mindset change. So, sorry, I got some notes here. I kind of still preparing for it. All right. So this is kind of where our R&D Center's journey started, right? We kind of realized that no, technology is part of it, but we can't say that we're DevOps certified when we have like a full CI/CD pipeline with auto-deploy. That's not exactly DevOps. Yeah, close to it, but not there yet, right? And it's not about tools, it's not about having the correct buzzwords, it's not like, you know, now I have Terraform, I have Chef, I have Puppet, you know, this kind of stuff in my ecosystem. Just having this doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, yeah, DevOps enabled. So to do proper DevOps, we kind of have to start with people's mindset. So this is something from the past that used to happen, right? You know, we have development teams, we have operation teams, you know, developers will write the code and, oh, catch, here's the code, I'm done, and walk away, and you know, the poor ops guy have to be struggling to figure out, what is this, right? How do I deploy this? Does it even run? You know, so this kind of scenarios are fairly common because I see people smiling faces, so I know, yeah, we've been there. So, you know, in the traditional organization, we kind of have different types of roles, right? You know, you have development, we have operations, of course, we have test, security, you know, all kinds of roles. And generally, or the misconception, although I shouldn't say misconception at this point, but you can see that these organizations kind of have different driving forces. Like for development, our core output, or what we need to strive towards is you know, we're always driven by new features, right? And I'm a developer, so I can tell you, yeah. So operations, on the other hand, have a different, I don't know what we call it, like performance indicator, right? Their job is to keep everything running, keep things stable. They don't like change because you know, introduce a change is going to break everything. So conflicting roles within the organization. This is one of the drivers for DevOps. But this is one of the common key misconceptions as well when we get to adopting DevOps, because oh sorry, I got this slide inside. So common conversations as well. This book's on my machine, you know, it's your fault. You know, operations say, no, come on, my set was running stable. You introduced this fault in, so yeah. This is where, from an organization perspective, right, where it kind of comes together. Because developer, operations, it doesn't matter. Your job is not, you know, what you think it is. Your job is enabling the business, right? If your development fails, operation, you know, you're out of job as well. So you need to foster the kind of relationship where teams work together better, work towards your goal, which is to enable your business to roll out features, keep customers happy. Developers need to do it, operations need to do it. So like I said, add new features, keep your sites fast, stable. We are trying to build dev people who can think of ops, and ops people that can think like dev, right? So one of the motivations why is R&D, at least for us, why we need to start moving to this, because we see industry is moving, right? And even for us, we started 1.5 years ago. I think that it's already been quite some time. We should have gotten there earlier. We should have started earlier. So, software developer perspective, right? Your methodology, the cycle is kind of changing. So we kind of started, I forgot to add that, I've been in development for about 15 years. So when I started developing, we kind of worked off the first model. We are doing traditional waterfall, requirements, code, tests, to the point of deploy, or to the point of release. It takes about 6 to 12 months. With Oracle, you get probably like 15 to 24 months, right? We're talking about large products, your web logic servers, your DB servers, all these really take long dev cycles. And from there, we start seeing evolution, right? When Agile came in, Agile kind of shortened this whole cycle a little bit. It doesn't quite get to the point of deployment, but within short iteration cycles like 2 weeks, 1 week, we get to the point where we expect features to roll out in 2 weeks, and with release, Agile practices kind of varies between organizations. So at least with us in R&D Center, we get to the point where we run consecutive sprints, and once we have sufficient features to meet a minimum viable product, that's where it kind of becomes a release. But of course, the goal is at the end of every sprint, we still have deliverables, right? Because this whole equation kind of changed again. So now with DevOps coming in, deployment or release kind of falls into that 2-week cycle. And right now we don't talk about minimum viable product because every feature can ship. Even if it's a small increment, we ship it. That's the kind of culture that we're trying to foster, that we need to push our developers towards. So we need to be faster. Actually we do, but not exactly no, not exactly yes as well. Because in development, when we spend time writing features, you find that if it takes 2 weeks to write a log intake, it takes 2 weeks. Right? There's no shortcuts to it, right? But what how at least for us, we tend to leverage on the DevOps kind of things is through automation, through the proper cultural change. We kind of speed up the peripheral processes around it. Things like delivery mechanism, how is it being delivered, built, deployed, and with technology evolution, this kind of gets faster and faster. Okay, quiz. 10 deploys a day. Anybody seen this before? Do you know when this statement was made? I see some people nodding their heads. Not so sure. Okay. 2009. That is 9 years ago. This was actually a presentation that was held given during the Velocity conference. Velocity is, at that point of time, was one of the tech leading kind of conferences, which is still now is, but it's kind of biased towards DevOps right now. So this was what kind of kick-started the whole DevOps movement, and this was 9 years ago. Okay, the company that managed to do 10 deploys a day was Flickr. So Flickr is a photo sharing service, and they managed to do it in 2009 at the point where there's no cloud service, there's no Chef, there's no Terraform, there's no such tools available, right? So it was amazing. So with that, it kind of kickstarted the whole DevOps trend. You can see this is a chart lifted from Google. If you actually do trending, you can find the number of Google searches kind of increases exponentially, because that's what people really want now. So it kind of comes back to this, right? how do we get to the point 10 deploys a day? At the point, at the time where Flickr could do it without that cutting-edge technology. So this is one of the challenges that we have in our journey from our R&D center, which is to break down the traditional roles and silos. We didn't really want developers to stick to just development, ops to focus solely on ops. So there's this set of guiding principles that come up from DevOps. So if you've been looking at DevOps for a certain amount of time, some of these may be familiar. It's called the 3 ways. Anybody heard of it? Yeah, very good. This is kind of driving. We can use this to drive the DevOps adoption within the R&D center itself. So there's 2 books which is written around this. One is called the Phoenix Project. So the Phoenix Project is, if you're really not a very good, strong reader, read this book. It's written in the form of a story. So it's very light reading. It kind of brings up a lot of concept. But once you kind of get the flow of it, the bulk of DevOps is actually in the second one, which is the DevOps handbook. I'm going to jump through this really quickly because I think that the books probably can deliver it much better than me. But I'm just going to touch on a couple of points here. So the first way is something which is called systems thinking, right? Systems thinking is really talking about having the correct, having your people think in the overall system of development, not just isolated to just development, right? So, for instance, in my organization, I'm a developer. Traditionally, my job ends at the point which I complete my features. Okay, I finish my unit test, I give it to my QA. QA's job is to check for bugs, and it becomes a different type of feedback loop. This no longer holds true because you find that you're kind of pushing the blame to someone. We kind of find, as we get further and further, developers start getting smarter, but in the wrong way. They kind of figure out ways to worm through QA's test cases. Not the thing that we want to do. So yes, we needed to drive this whole concept that although you're a developer, you really need to think about the quality of your code. You really need to think about, at the end of the day, where is it going to be delivered to? Because once it goes live and something screws up, that's it. Where's your way back? There's no way back. So, yes, first way, really, system thinking. Second way is about feedback loops, right? Along the way, when you build stuff, process improvement, right? Is one of the keywords. So we do a lot of work in CI/CD, in automation, even in testing, even stand-up meetings. These are all in some form or other feedback loops. So we need to be able to build those kind of feedback loops to get better response, to get better feedback onto what kind of system you're developing, where your flaws are. And I'm losing a lot of you, so I'm just gonna go faster. The third way is particularly more important, at least for R&D, is experimenting and knowing when to fail. Right, so from development, I think most of us do tend to get overloaded with work, and sometimes I work in very routine, right? Write code, go home, write code, go home, and even it's gotten to the point which we're still using practices that were popular 10 years ago. Java development. Some people are, what everyone else in the world is like doing things like Spring Boot. Yeah, like still doing, J2E. Okay. Anyway, I shouldn't say too much about that because I'm probably. Anyway, so the third way kind of talks about having this culture or this principle of having continuous learning. Teaching our guys of opening up to risks and learning from failure, right? So sometimes in traditional organizations or traditional development organizations, this is not an option. But as we see now, more and more of the unicorn companies, right, like Google, they start to open up cases where staff can devote one day every week of their time to learning something unrelated to their work. And you know, for R&D organization, this is important because interest is something that helps to drive a lot of you know, new products. You know, it keeps your staff motivated, prevent them from burning out. In a way, it kind of indirectly affects your productivity as well. So you see, by covering these three, it's just three very simple statements about DevOps. You know, we kind of start on the journey, right? We haven't even touched on the technology end of things. So to do it successfully and get on the right path, we need to challenge our traditional mindset. So most of these concepts here, if you are in software development, you may agree, you may not agree, I don't know. But you know, that's the way that from R&D, from us, we were trying to drive into our engineering teams. So yeah, principles. This part's kind of about culture and technology as well. So culture kind of deals with your environment, and of course, lastly, technologies, tools, right? So within us, we kind of have two sets of tenants, one which deal with the culture of the workplace, and one which deals with the technology that we adopt. There's really a lot of points here. I'm not going to cover everything. I'm just going to point out a couple of more prominent ones that we kind of need to focus more on, at least that we focused on during our early stage of adoption. So even concepts like where your development responsibility ends. Development responsibility ends when the code is released. Full stop. There's no two ways about it, right? And what we really want to do, and what I'm trying to convey in this slide is that we need to build a culture for it, so that within the organization, everybody kind of understands. And yeah, it's the culture. Everybody knows it. Yeah, throwing it over the wall is no such thing. Doesn't mean that you give to operations, you're done. No, wait until it's deployed. When it gets released, then you're done. Even so, you're still going to be stuck with bug fixes, but that's a different thing. The other one is the no blame culture. So this is a really, really hard thing to overcome, at least with in China and Singapore-based kind of system, because Chinese people, we like to point fingers. And I'm the only Chinese person here, so you have to trust me on that. Okay. Second tenet is about technology, how you use technology, right? Some of these are the parts where if you start scratching the surface of DevOps, you're still getting into it. You start coming with these buzzwords very, very early. Things like infrastructure as code, things like version control. Having a proper pipeline, when something checks in, it goes all the way to the end of the pipeline. These are all technology changes that we started to bring into the organization. So previously, Agile, yes, we already have such concepts. We're kind of building on top of it. The kind of controls that we actually put in place in automation is a bit different. And the last one is something quite interesting that we kind of try to push down as well, which is called, don't fix anything. It doesn't literally mean don't fix anything, okay? It means that if something breaks, you start from the start, you start from the front, right? So we have an environment set up. You break, it doesn't deploy, the feature is broken. You don't fix the code, build the binary and redeploy into the environment. You run it through the pipeline tests on the environment, sets up a brand new environment, so you're going to test against the same code with the same level of consistency. So this is kind of the values that we're trying to teach our engineering teams, right? So, with these kind of things coming in, we find that development and operations and kind of have a stronger dependency on each other. There's a lot of skill sets that developers don't come with. They don't know how to build up your environment. They don't know how to infrastructure as code, how to set up, how to tune environments, how to patch OS. That's operations stuff. But it doesn't mean that your developer's going to do it. But your development needs to work with the operations to say that, my code works on Ubuntu, this version, it only works on MySQL 5.6, how can I include the environment for it? So, it kind of opens up the conversations between your groups, and it kind of brings in, feedback loops again. It kind of ties back to the secondary. So operations, being in this process from the start, they understand that, yeah, I've got you covered. Yeah, too much information. A lot of very theory stuff. So, jumping back, so some of the things that we've been doing from R&D. Yeah, so why we started, I think I kind of covered this as well. Development trends are changing, blah, blah, blah. We cannot afford to let people work in silos, right? Working in silos is, I don't know whether you're familiar with the term. So working in silos is really talking about teams which work in total isolation. They don't care what's happening around them. It doesn't bother them if some other team's project failed. R&D, we kind of run 20, 30 projects, I guess. We can't afford that. We can't have people with certain expertise. We know that can help another project. Yeah, he can be off in his own world doing it. We need to have his talent. Yeah, and of course we need to have the capability to harvest resources. So I'll get to that a little bit more. Yeah, challenge. This is the biggest part. We're still working on that. I can tell you for sure that even after 1.5 years, we're still fighting this battle. It's not an easy move. That's one traditional mindset. Developers don't like to change. Actually, engineers also don't like to change. We have a lot of problems getting people to adopt this 3 ways. So, you can threaten them, you can reward them, drive them. It helps a lot if the person is new, you can bully them. Second part is breaking down silos. So, we always have engineers who are really good at what they do, and they don't really focus on their work aspect. They don't want to work outside their job scope. Yeah, that's the problem. We're kind of encouraging them by forcing them to work on multiple projects in lesser degrees. So it kind of helps to open their eyes, because it has its own drawback. Yeah, so we work with a lot of groups with different development practices. So not just within R&D, right? So R&D, we are trying to drive towards the same model, which is a big challenge, because not all projects are created equal. We work with development teams, product development teams, right? I think even with the recent changes within the Oracle organization itself, Java release cycle is still 6 months, right? They're running on something, which, with a 6 months release cycle, and we're trying to drive it 2 weeks. How do you gel up? How do you sync up? Right? So that's some of the challenges that we have. We have very, very diverse portfolios. We do projects which, 2-3 people doing a simple PhD for a month. We have projects that, work with product development teams. They run 2-3 years. All these projects kind of have different outputs, different outcomes, and some of them we can actually influence. It's not an easy journey, and some of these things we are still trying to find answers for. But at the end of the day, our goal is very simple, right? This is where, even from a management perspective, they'll tell you straight up, this is what I want. Improve my release cycle, right? Engineers, at least from architect level, this is what I want, right? I want to automate low-level tasks, right? Automation is kind of one of the key drivers to DevOps. We don't want my test engineer to sit there every day when there's a new release to just click through the same set of use cases. It's automation. This stuff has been in place for 10 years ago. We need to be there already. Of course, automation needs to be in the pipeline. So different organizations, part of the thing which we realized is that different organizations need to have different goals, and you need to work towards them. Kind of think of it in the 3 ways principles that are kind of brought up in the earliest times. So we kind of use that to drive our DevOps journey. Okay, talk a bit about DevOps maturity. So this is currently where or how we see the DevOps maturity. Everybody starts off at the bottom, agile development. Anybody here is not on agile development yet? Okay, anyway, it's not exactly the only way to do things, so it may not be an accurate baseline, but at least within all of us, we do it this way. So once you're done with agile development, you move on to the next step, which is CI. And when you're done with CI, you go to CD, and when you're done with CD, you go to so-called DevOps practice. So we use this as a baseline to kind of measure how fast or how far our engineering teams are kind of going. And it's a good report card. It's very simple. If you actually go online, you find even in certain aspects like test, there's different maturity levels as well. This is our current CI/CD pipeline. It's a very generic pipeline, but this kind of applies into most of our engineering projects. It can start off with an agile process, right? Scrum, sprint planning, defining your features. Everybody has the same pipeline. Build, unit test. This unit test, code analysis, security scan. 3 things. These 3 tests must pass. Okay, only if you can pass these 3 tests, then your binary gets built, or your artifact gets built. Internally, we use Sonar. We use Fortify for security scan. There's different variations. So we follow different product groups. So every group has their own preferred set of tools. So right now, back to my pipeline. After we have all this, we build binaries, right? Or equivalent of binaries. It could be Docker containers, it could be binaries, but it's a deployable artifact. But we do not deploy it directly, it goes into a repository. So test has their own process, it picks up from there and kind of push it into their own testing server. All this is automated, right? So when it goes into the testing environment, we have automated testing, functional tests, regression tests. There is still some fair amount of manual testing that gets involved. I'm not a test engineer, but right now, even from my perspective, I don't see how far, or maybe we haven't gone there yet, but we haven't reached the point which we understand, or gotten to the point which we can totally eliminate manual testing. Part of it, I guess, deals with the type of projects we work in. Right, manual testing probably if you get onto microservices where your deliverables are much smaller or more specific, you can probably get to the point which you can have automated test case delivery, discovery, not delivery. So yes, there's applications out there that can help you find and build test cases for you. And of course performance, load testing. Then once this is done, it pushes to a production repository. So production pipeline picks up from the repository. Not a full pure CI/CD pipeline yet, because we pick up from intermediate points. Our pipeline doesn't push all the way through. Okay, because of the activities that we do, certain things like because of manual test involvement, just because a build breaks doesn't necessarily mean that testing has to stop. Unfortunately, it's a sad reality. That's why I say, we are still on our DevOps journey. We hope that we can get there, but So yeah, I covered this. But our CI/CD pipeline kind of takes care of automation. Running automation tests to set a. If you use Sonar, it's called quality gate, right? All your tests, all your raw code must pass quality gate. Okay. When we talk about quality gate, it means that your Sonar scans will flag up how many warnings or how many code smells, what's bad, what's good, what's your bad practices. All those all get flagged up. And we have provisioning. So yes, we have 2 types of infrastructure. Internal, deploys goes to VMs, and we have external which goes to cloud, right? So both are automated. Environments are immutable, which means that you go in, nobody touches the environment. Everything has to be driven by infrastructure as code. If you find that, say, I can deploy and my web logic JDB's connection is wrong, go and change your infrastructure code, your deployment script. Don't go in and change the web logic instance. So that's kind of ties back to some of the DevOps concepts that we try to push out. And so we have repositories push to release, once everything goes, it's released. Because the R&D, we don't really run production instances, right? Product development, well, I don't think that anybody has actually gotten to the point which you build and everything and you have a binary and boom, guess what, it's here. Smaller projects, probably open source projects, but we are not there yet, at least from R&D. And go straight to deployment. That's a service-driven development. This one may be of interest to some tech people. You can see a lot of interesting tools there. This is currently part of our portfolio. I say part because I think this stuff was written about 3 months. This diagram was drawn about 3 months ago. And from R&D perspective, we kind of start adding top stuff to it. Some of these you probably have seen or used it before. Things like Jira consultants for project management. We have very common tools like Docker, Sona, JUnit. Of course, when we talk about other programming languages right now, there's some equivalent. And of course, we have our services, Terraform providers. All these help to enable our pipeline. One interesting thing that we were trying to drive across a couple of months ago was this piece called Vagrant. Anybody use Vagrant before? Vagrant is kind of like Docker, a VM version of Docker, if you want to think of it. So what we're trying to drive is that developers spend days sometimes to set up an environment when they start a new project. They go out, they download the ID, they need to go and figure out how to set up the OS, what are the packages that they need. So one of the projects that we kind of ran was we wanted to automate building dev environments that can be provisioned up. So Vagrant was one of the interesting tech that was out there that we were looking at. So Vagrant just build an image and we give it to the developer. Okay, everything you need inside. You want Terraform to happen inside, GoBang, unit test, it's a CI/CD server, just spin it up. It runs on your desktop. But anyway, interesting thing about this is that I'm coming from a non-Oracle perspective when I say this, because I've been in Oracle for 15 years. So we start seeing a lot of move from proprietary technology into open source. And in a way it's interesting because I think the open source world is much more exciting, more tech development. Oh yeah, and we have this last part, which is collaboration tools, Coolboard, Slack, Rocket Chat. So to help drive our DevOps, we start doing things like chat rooms. Okay, day-to-day principle, what we want to do. I'm not going to talk about this version. Interesting point is the second one, right? Alerts. So this is we're talking about actionable alerts. So because it doesn't do anybody good if somebody just gets an email to say, oh, your build is broken. We want people to act on it, right? Or this build is successful. We want to deploy it, right? So we are trying to build into the infrastructure where alerts like this come with some kind of capability like click yes or reply yes, and it goes. Deployment is done. But again, we're not there yet. 1.5 years is I wouldn't say it's a very short time, but it's not really a very long time to work on this journey. Kind of broken down the silos. You have teams that work with each other. They are aware of what's happening, and that's quite an achievement. we still have isolated people who we tend to nudge the right way. We better use a kind of development to stage, with the proper CI/CD process. Developers can better use, how should I say, they can use their time better, or they can find better things to do with their time. Good quality. So through automation, through tools, through feedback loops, by getting people to think across the system, drives up the code quality. By enforcing certain things like quality scans, by getting people to think down the whole stream, error rate has reduced. I don't know statistics on this, so just have to take my word for it, unfortunately. Yeah, and the usability, we build tool chains can be used for cross projects. Okay, ending note, sorry, I kind of put this into all my DevOps slides. We migrate to the enterprise cloud, we can manage everything with a monkey. Okay, it kind of wraps up what I really want to say. It's been a journey, at least for us, for R&D to kind of move towards DevOps, to properly adopt CI/CD. Some references. Do look them up if you're kind of thinking on this kind of level of DevOps. Tools are exciting, but we need to get the organization going the right way before tools can be effective. Okay, anybody want to ask questions? No? Okay, we're good? Alright. Anyway, I'll be around, so if you guys want to talk to me, I'm a very shy person, I have to tell you. Alright, thanks.